When we talk about what truly captures a woman's attention, it's not always the external things men assume. It isn't about grand gestures, witty one-liners, or trying to impress with wealth or status. What women respond to most powerfully, especially when it comes to older men, is the quality of presence. Presence is not just about being physically in the room, it's about how deeply you can give your attention. An older man who listens, who pauses, who takes in not only her words but also her energy, creates something rare, a space where a woman feels profoundly seen. And when a woman feels seen, she cannot help but feel drawn closer. Most men listen to reply. They're waiting for their turn to speak, to assert themselves, to showcase what they know. But the man who listens without rushing, who doesn't treat the conversation as a competition, begins to stand out. His calm and grounded energy becomes magnetic. It sends a message: I am not distracted, I am not desperate, and I do not need to dominate. Instead, I am here fully. That subtle shift makes a woman feel safe, valued, and respected in ways she may not even articulate, but she feels it nonetheless. Philosophically, presence is the mark of maturity. It takes time and life experience to learn that the most powerful influence isn't in trying to control the outside world, but in mastering your inner world. Younger men often rush, chase, and scramble, but older men who embody presence understand that silence, stillness, and patience carry their own kind of authority. Women sense this immediately because presence is not just heard, it's felt. And the irony is, when an older man cultivates this depth of attention, he doesn't just attract a woman's interest, he commands her respect. Attraction grows out of that respect because desire is rooted in trust. The man who can make her feel safe enough to open up, and strong enough to hold the weight of her vulnerability, becomes unforgettable. So if there is one thing to remember, it is this: women do not crave distraction, they crave connection. And connection only happens when you learn to be fully present. Confidence is often misunderstood. Too many men think it's about walking into a room with their chest out, speaking louder than everyone else, or making sure their presence is noticed. But that kind of performance is not confidence, it's insecurity wearing a mask. Real confidence, the kind that older men can embody in a way younger men often cannot, is quiet. It doesn't need validation, it doesn't demand attention, and it doesn't crumble when challenged. It simply is. Women are deeply sensitive to this difference. They can spot the man who is pretending versus the man who is rooted in himself. A confident man does not chase approval, he radiates a steady assurance that draws people toward him. He doesn't need to prove his value, because his value is already settled within himself. That kind of self-possession is magnetic. It's the difference between someone who is begging to be chosen and someone who knows he already brings something of substance to the table. Philosophically, confidence without arrogance reflects a harmony between self-awareness and humility. It's not about thinking you are above anyone, it's about knowing you have nothing to hide. You've lived, you've learned, you've made mistakes, and you carry that wisdom openly. That balance creates a natural authority, one that doesn't need to shout. And for a woman, that is both calming and exciting, because it allows her to relax into the energy of a man who knows where he stands. What women crave in this sense isn't dominance, it's certainty. Certainty in your decisions, in your boundaries, in your vision. An older man who can calmly say, "This is what I want," or "This is where I'm going," communicates strength without aggression. In that assurance invites her to trust him, not because he demands it, but because he embodies it. At its core, confidence is not about doing, it's about being. And when you can simply be without forcing, without posturing, without needing to be more than you are, that's when women take notice. Because a man who is settled within himself becomes a man she wants to settle next to, True confidence is not noise. It is silence that speaks louder than words. There is something undeniably attractive about a man who knows how to take the lead, but here's where many men misunderstand the concept. Leadership is not about control, and it is never about domination. True leadership is guidance, offering direction in a way that inspires trust rather than fear. Women respond deeply to a man who can step forward with clarity, not because he is trying to overpower her, but because he is willing to carry responsibility. That subtle difference changes everything. Think of it like a dance. A woman doesn't enjoy being shoved around the floor, but she does enjoy when a partner knows the rhythm, anticipates the movement, and creates flow. In relationships, that same principle applies. When an older man can say, "I'll take care of this," or "Here's what we'll do," it removes uncertainty and allows her to relax into his energy. It's not about restricting her choices, it's about creating stability through his decisiveness. Philosophically, gentle authority comes from self-mastery. A man who cannot lead himself cannot lead another. But when a man has disciplined his mind, cultivated patience, and learned to respond rather than react, he naturally emanates a calm authority. Women sense this because leadership at its highest form is not about control of others but control of self. And when a man demonstrates that inner strength, it draws her into alignment with him almost effortlessly. What women crave in this kind of leadership is not being told what to do, but being shown what's possible. They long for a man who can expand the horizon, who can set a vision and walk toward it with conviction. That energy awakens both excitement and safety. It tells her she is with someone who not only knows where he's going, but who also has the strength to bring her along if she chooses. The irony is that gentle authority requires humility. It's not about ego, it's about service. A true leader makes her feel more of herself, not less. He amplifies her freedom by removing chaos, not by creating it. And that's the essence. Women don't crave control, they crave direction. When you can lead with strength and tenderness, you don't just attract her attention, you earn her devotion. Emotional stability is one of the rarest and most magnetic qualities a man can bring into a woman's life. So many relationships break down not because of a lack of love, but because of volatility, men who lash out, who sulk, who crumble under pressure. That instability creates uncertainty, and uncertainty erodes attraction. What makes older men stand apart is their ability, when cultivated, to respond rather than react. They've lived through storms, they've experienced failure and recovery, and from that comes a calm that younger men often lack. Women feel that difference instantly. There is a deep psychology here. Emotional stability is not the absence of feeling, but the mastery of it. A man who represses emotion is not stable. He is numb. But a man who can feel anger, fear, or frustration and still hold himself steady, that man is powerful. He shows that his inner world is not dictated by external chaos, and when a woman witnesses this, she feels a profound sense of trust. She knows she can lean into him without worrying he will collapse under the weight. Philosophically, this kind of self-mastery reflects an alignment between strength and serenity. It is the ability to hold both tension and peace at the same time. Women crave that because it allows them to soften. In the presence of an emotionally unstable man, she has to harden for protection. But in the presence of a stable man, she can relax into her feminine energy, knowing he is strong enough to carry himself and steady enough to carry the moment. This is not about perfection, it's about resilience. Stability means you can be shaken but not broken, tested but not undone. And that resilience is deeply attractive because it signals maturity. A woman doesn't want a man who has never been tested. She wants a man who has been tested and come out stronger. So remember this, women do not fall in love with chaos, they fall in love with consistency. Emotional stability is the quiet force that keeps passion alive because it transforms uncertainty into trust. And trust, more than anything else, is the foundation of lasting desire. One of the most overlooked qualities that makes older men magnetic is their intellectual depth and the wisdom they carry from life experience. Women are not simply drawn to charm or looks, they are captivated by a man who has lived, who has gathered lessons, and who can express them in ways that awaken curiosity. When an older man speaks from experience rather than theory, his words carry weight. They are not empty opinions but reflections shaped by time, hardship, and growth. And that depth is intoxicating. You see, conversation with a man like this is never shallow. It's not limited to the trivialities of the day or empty chatter. Instead, he can take something ordinary and reveal something extraordinary within it. He can tell a story from his past, not to boast, but to share meaning. He can draw connections between ideas, between people, between choices and consequences. In doing so, he reveals a mind that is alive, a mind that has substance. Women crave this because it engages them on more than a surface level. It stimulates both thought and emotion. Philosophically, intellectual depth represents the human desire for expansion. We are all searching for meaning, for growth, for understanding beyond ourselves. A man who embodies wisdom becomes a guide not by preaching, but by showing through his lived experience what it means to evolve. And when a woman encounters a man who carries this richness within him, she feels elevated by his presence. It's not about him being the smartest person in the room. It's about him being a man who sees life through a wider lens. This is why worldly wisdom is so alluring. It's not just intelligence, it's perspective. It's the ability to see the bigger picture while still appreciating the details. It's knowing what matters and what doesn't, and communicating that in ways that resonate. That kind of insight doesn't just attract a woman, it inspires her. At the core, women are not drawn to men who only entertain them. They are drawn to men who expand them. And intellectual depth is what transforms conversation into connection. A man who cultivates wisdom doesn't just hold a woman's attention, he awakens her soul. Mystery is one of the most underestimated forces of attraction, and it's something older men, when they understand it, can embody effortlessly. Mystery doesn't mean playing games or hiding who you are, it means revealing yourself in layers, never all at once. It's about allowing a woman to discover you gradually, to lean in closer because she senses there is more beneath the surface. And that unfolding process, slow, deliberate, authentic, creates a powerful pull. The truth is, women are naturally curious. They are drawn to depth, to complexity, to the sense that a man's story cannot be fully understood in a single glance. When an older man holds back just enough, when he allows silence to speak as loudly as words, he creates intrigue. He signals that he is not desperate to be consumed in one moment because he knows he has nothing to prove. That quiet confidence wrapped in subtle mystery is intoxicating. Philosophically, mystery reflects the idea that human beings are never fully complete, that there are always more layers to be explored. And when a man lives this way, when his life has dimensions, passions, and private disciplines, he becomes endlessly compelling. Women sense that he is not one-dimensional, not flat, not easily captured. He is someone who invites discovery rather than demanding attention. What makes mystery so powerful is that it keeps attraction alive over time. The moment everything about a person becomes predictable, interest begins to fade. But when a man reveals himself in degrees, when he always has another layer of insight, experience, or passion to share, a woman feels continually drawn toward him. She doesn't just want to know him, she wants to keep knowing him. And that's the heart of it. Mystery is not about withholding, it's about depth. It's about being a man whose life is rich enough that even after years, there is still more to discover. A man who understands this doesn't chase attention, he invites pursuit, and women go crazy for that, because desire thrives not in certainty, but in curiosity, and the man who remains just a little mysterious will never stop being fascinating.